What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. And in this video, we're going to go over the new proposed details by presidential candidate Joe Biden regarding stimulus checks, a change in Social Security payments to seniors, and also his tax plan that will raise taxes. I'm going to tell you who it will affect in this video. But first, if you haven't yet, click the subscribe button down below. This way you won't miss out on second stimulus check updates. We're almost at 200,000 views, and my wife and I do hours of research for you guys every single day. My wife also edits all my YouTube videos, and when we hit 200,000, she's gonna come on camera with us and be part of the show. So make sure to subscribe and smash the like button for us down below. Okay, Joe Biden, presidential candidate Joe Biden for the Democrats, who is running for election in about 2 months, 60 days, has released his tax plan, his economic plan, and everything he wants if he is elected for president. I'm also going to tell you guys how this relates to President Donald Trump in regard to his stimulus checks. So, the first thing we need to mention is this little wording that Joe Biden used for stimulus checks. As you can see here, as millions of Americans are waiting for Congress to approve a second round of payments, Joe Biden wants people to receive a third direct payment if elected. Note the keywords there, a third direct payment. So it's very interesting that he used those words, a third stimulus check. So what does that mean? Jimmy, what does that mean? Well, what else could it mean besides another stimulus check after the second one? So it looks like he's getting word from the Democratic Party, which, he's a Democrat, that they're going to agree on a second stimulus check before the election. And that when he comes on, if he wins, that he wants a third stimulus check to be sent out to the people. And in one statement, they said they want a third stimulus check to go out right away if they were elected. Now, I gotta say that most of the time, elections don't really mean much for the average everyday person. A Democrat's elected, Republicans elected, and everybody just kind of goes about their business, right? Yeah, there's some policy changes and stuff like that, but most of the time it doesn't really affect an average everyday American like you or me. But I gotta say, for this year of 2020 being the craziest year ever, we have an asteroid headed towards Earth that is supposed to hit the day before the election. I covered that in a past video. Don't worry, it only has a less than 1% chance of hitting the Earth. And, Game of Thrones with the White Walkers possibly coming this winter. It's just been a crazy year with this pandemic and everything going on. And I gotta say that for the election to be this year, I personally feel is a very good thing for Americans. I think that President Donald Trump is going to do everything in his power to get another stimulus check and an extension of the unemployment benefits to the end of the year out before the election. If I was a betting man, I'd bet pretty large on it, and I think that he's going to do everything in his power to get stimulus checks out and to get unemployment benefit boost out before the election. There's about 60 days before the election, so I think that all that is going to pretty much happen within the next 30 days. And if Congress can't approve it, I think the president is going to find a way to get those stimulus checks out, probably through a presidential executive order, just like he did with the unemployment extension. I was the first one to report this. Anybody else that mentioned this is stealing my idea. You heard it here first. He did it with the unemployment money. That money he diverted from other funds, the disaster relief fund and the first stimulus package. He's diverting money from that. I think he's going to do that if they can't come to an agreement. And I also think that the Republicans might possibly not come to an agreement anyways if they know they can pass it through the presidential executive order, because then they could say, well, Congress didn't pass the check, but the president stepped in, passed the check, and that was really good for America. So whether they, however they do it, however we get the stimulus check, number one, I think it's a very good year for people to have an election, because I think it's going to make sure that we're going to get a second stimulus check and that we're going to get more unemployment extensions. And then, even furthermore, Joe Biden is saying that if he gets elected, he's going to give you guys a third stimulus check. Now, most of the time when we have an election, stuff like this doesn't happen. So, because the pandemic happened to be this year, I actually think that the one good thing that can come out of this pandemic, besides maybe, we got a little bit of stimulus check and a little bit of unemployment, a little bit of help, money for small businesses and stuff. I think that if we were ever going to have a year of an election, I actually think it's a good thing that it happened during this pandemic, so that at least some people are getting extra help, because the candidates are trying to vie for who's going to win. Oh, look what I did. I helped out the people. And this guy's going to say, look what I did. I helped out the people. Well, whatever their motives are, at least the people are getting helped out, or going to be getting helped out even more. So I think that's a good thing. And Joe Biden wants to send out a third stimulus check to Americans. So again, that will be just another good thing if that happens. And again, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I just like to report the news to you guys. And if someone's doing something bad or something good, I will sometimes, say, because again, if Nancy Pelosi's holding up the checks, call a spade a spade. When Mitch McConnell held up the checks, we called a spade a spade. But most of the time, I'm an independent. I like to call myself a realist, because I'm real about the situation. If someone's doing something good, let's say it's good. If someone's doing something bad, let's say it's bad. Not that hard. So with that being said, Joe Biden has announced his economic emergency action plan to save the economy if he becomes president. And then we're going to go over the 12 tax changes that he will be increasing taxes on and who it will be on. We're going to go over that next. Now note that this is from joebiden.com, so this is 100% legit source. I like to show my sources a lot of times in videos and let you guys read along with them, because it's not just hearsay, you're reading it. So, and a lot of times I double or triple check my sources, okay? But this source is directly from joebiden.com. And again, this is just what he wants, what he's saying. So take that with a little bit of grain of salt. If Joe Biden were president right now, here are the 3 things he would do to save our economy and help our families weather the storm. And to get them done, he would appoint a task force reporting twice daily to him on progress. First, use all available authorities, including the Defense Production Act, to turn the tide on this pandemic. He says it would be catastrophic to reopen everything without a plan and then have a spike in cases and have to shut it all back down again. That would just mean more loss of life and economic pain. To reopen, public health experts say we need real testing capacity, the ability to trace contacts if someone tests positive, and the ability to surge equipment and supplies to any new hotspots. We should listen to them. It's the quickest, surest way to getting our economy back on track. Second, he wants to launch a task force reporting directly to him to make sure every dollar going out the door gets to the people who need it fast. He wants to keep as many people on the payroll as possible and make Americans whole for lost hours and wages. That could mean hazard pay. I've had a lot of you guys asking about hazard pay. Joe Biden would expedite aid to businesses who commit to helping workers stay employed through the crisis so they can get back to work when conditions allow. Third, he wants to bring leaders of Congress together to build the next deal. This was a good start, but more must be done. Congress approved direct cash relief, $1,200 per person, to help working families through the crisis, but it's a one-off. And Congress didn't include direct student loan forgiveness or Social Security boost for seniors or cost-free treatment for the virus, full paid sick leave for our workers, or sufficient financial relief to states. Joe Biden would provide additional checks to families should conditions require. Forgive a minimum of $10,000 per person of federal student loans as proposed by Senator Warren and colleagues. He wants to increase monthly Social Security checks by $200 per month, as proposed by Senator Wyden and colleagues. Seniors and people with disabilities are uniquely at risk right now. Man, that is a really big one. I know a lot of you guys who are on Social Security, SSDI, and retired, that extra $200 every single month or $2,400 per year would really mean a lot to you guys. It's not clear whether this would be a permanent raise or not. He wants to provide emergency paid sick leave to everyone who needs it with no one left out. This should include workers in all industries and all sectors regardless of company size, including gig workers, domestic workers, contractors, and the self-employed. Ensure that no one has to pay $1 out of pocket for virus testing, treatment, or a vaccine, and provide all necessary fiscal relief to states so their workers and communities get the help they need. Here's some key words here. The bottom line is Congress will have to keep acting. This is not the last bill. There will be more, and Joe Biden will do whatever it takes, spend whatever it takes, and move heaven and earth to help all people harmed by this crisis. Wow, there's a lot there. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Another thing I want to note that is that the Democrats control the House pretty good, and they only need about 4 or 5 votes in the Senate, depending on how you look at it, because there's a couple independents in the Senate. But the Democrats could win the House by only winning a couple votes, by turning a couple votes from Republican to Democrats. And if Joe Biden wins and they do that, they would have a triple crown match where they would literally have the House and the Senate and the presidency all Democratic. Most of the time that doesn't last long where it happens, all 3 of those. But if that does, they would have full reign to pretty much pass almost any bill they want quickly and without having to negotiate. Also, Joe Biden's vice president would be Kamala Harris, and she is the main person who has proposed and has pushed for $2,000 per month checks during this pandemic and even retroactive. As you can see right here in this article, Kamala Harris wants to cut you a $12,000 stimulus check right away if they were elected. As you can see here, Democratic vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris supports a dramatic plan to offer most Americans a new stimulus check each month for the duration of the pandemic. The plan that the senator has signed onto in the Senate would offer $2,000 per month through the end of the pandemic and a little beyond to most Americans, starting with a $12,000 check. The $12,000 portion of this comes from the retroactive part that they want in this also, which would go retroactive back to the start of this pandemic, which is 6 months or $12,000. If they win the presidency, this could become a reality. The $12,000 retroactive, I'm not sure if that seems a little unlikely because by the time they get into office, it would be January, and again, if they win. But I do think that they could pass a $2,000 per month stimulus check. But I'm not sure about the retroactive. Again, if they win the House and the Senate and the presidency, they could probably pass whatever they wanted because the Republicans couldn't do anything about it. They don't have the votes to do it. So we'll have to see. Next up, we're going to talk about the 12 tax changes that Joe Biden announced with his economic tax plan. And he wants to raise taxes. I'm going to show you right here. But it's who he raises taxes on that's the interesting part. You guys can let me know down below if any of these taxes will affect you. Number 1, he wants an increase in the corporate tax rate. This won't affect most small businesses because they're not C corporations. Most businesses are S corps or LLCs that flow through an S corp, and it comes back to your personal tax returns. So this would basically cover most larger businesses that aren't owned by a specific individual. Again, not all, but most. As you can see here, arguably the biggest change from President Donald Trump's hallmark Tax Cuts and Job Act would be the partial undoing of the tax cut passed along to corporations. Under that act, the peak marginal corporate tax rate was slashed from 35% to 21%. Under the Biden tax plan, the corporate tax rate would be increased to 28%. You'll note this is still well below where it was during the Obama presidency. Increasing the corporate tax rate to 28% should be responsible for raising roughly 1/3 of the $3.3 trillion to $3.7 trillion in estimated extra revenue over the next decade. He wants a minimum tax on corporate income. Call this the Amazon rule, if you like, but Biden's tax plan calls for a minimum tax of 15% on companies with $100 million or more in annual net income that pay little to no federal taxes. In Amazon's case, carry forward losses from the years where it wasn't profitable, coupled with the Trump's tax cut, allowed it to report $11.2 billion in profits in 2018 without paying a single cent in federal income tax. Biden wants to eliminate those loopholes from the federal income tax and also have a 15% minimum income tax on companies with $100 million or more in annual income. Now, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, I think that's a really good idea because companies that are making hundreds of millions of dollars and paying very little or no income tax, that's not good for the United States. I mean, the tax money has to come from somewhere. I mean, we have to pay for things from somewhere. I'd much rather have the money come from companies that are making millions, hundreds of millions, or billions of dollars than to have it come from the average everyday American. Again, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. He would double the GILTI tax on foreign subsidies, so foreign subsidies of U.S. companies, the imposition of a financial risk fee on large banks. Basically, this would be a fee that would ensure that bank customers won't have to pay these fees and that banks will have to pay these fees instead. Number 5, an increase of the marginal tax rate for top earners. Biden would like to see America's richest workers open up their wallets. He'd do this by re-raising the top marginal income tax bracket from 37% to 39.6%. For 2020, this top marginal tax rate is applied to people earning over $518,000 for single filers and $622,000 per year for married couples filing jointly. Number 6, reinstitute the payroll tax on the top 1%. Next to increasing the corporate tax rate, the largest revenue generator would be the creation of a donut hole in the Social Security's 12.4% payroll tax on earned income. Basically, this would be for people earning over $400,000 per year, the 12% payroll tax would be reinstated to give more money to Social Security and have it come from people making $400,000 or more per year. He also wants to raise the capital gain tax on filers with incomes above $1 million. Eliminate the stepped up basis is number 8. A step-up basis refers to the cost basis of assets or properties transferred to an heir upon death. As an example, if an individual purchased a home for $300,000, but it was worth $600,000 at the time of their death, their heir would pay capital gains tax on anything over the $600,000 if the home was ever sold. This stepping up of the cost basis is a loophole that costs the federal government money, given that it discourages people from realizing the capital gains. He would eliminate that. A 9th change calls to limit the cap on itemized deductions to 28%. Number 10 is phase out small business income deductions over $400,000. This would phase out deductions for small businesses earning over $400,000 or limit them at least slightly. He wants to institute a first-time homebuyers and renters tax credit. In May, Biden talked about the idea of providing new homeowners with a tax credit worth up to $15,000, known as the first down payment tax credit. Additionally, Biden wants to provide Section 8 housing vouchers to eligible families so they won't have to spend more than 30% of their income on rent. And number 12 is to up the existing child and dependent care tax credit. In his plan, it would maximum allowable expenses for child care and dependent care tax credit would soar to $8,000 for individuals and $16,000 for multiple dependents. In other words, this tax credit could be worth as much as $8,000 and also include people who have no tax liability. So there you go. Joe Biden wants a third stimulus check. Kamala Harris wants $2,000 per month. She's the presidential vice president nominee. And there's 12 tax changes. I believe all of them were tax increases. No, some of the ones at the end were tax credits and deductions for some people. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of these tax changes. Would they affect you, or do you think they're all good or all bad? Let us know down below in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, and smash the like button for us down below. You can click on this top video to watch my newest stimulus check video, and this bottom video is an award my wife and I won for our YouTube channel. And this video teaches you how to start a business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video.